This is very obviously a video I should have made last year, but also focused on bigger projects and, well, life in general, that it sort of slipped my mind. And I really didn't keep a good track of all the games I played other than the list I have on my Twitch page. Also, Twitch seems to only keep track of what you've streamed in like the last 60 days, but I did manage to find a listing on a third-party site, so yes, KT is going to talk about their top 10 favorite games from 2023. It's actually technically 11 because once I broke them down, I had a hard time trying to scrub that last one. I also did bend the rules slightly because some of these games I started in 2022 but didn't beat until 2023. And yes, all of these games I have played from start to finish. I'm just going to go ahead and do the honorable mentions before I get to the actual list. These honorable mentions include Jedi Fallen Order, Killzone Liberation, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So just by these 3 entries alone, you guys are going to understand what kind of list this is. I absolutely loved Jedi, but when Starfield came out, I took a massive break from it, then came back remembering absolutely nothing about the plot. The combat was fun, the characters were interesting, but I really didn't have a good enough recollection of my time to put it on the list. I would have actually put Killzone Liberation as a numbered entry, but I ended up playing a lot of really good games in 2023, so it unfortunately had to be relegated. Liberation was a massive surprise to me. As someone who enjoyed PSP games growing up, the arcade-style run-and-gun that this little gem had to offer was great. And oh man, Violet. So the only reason I'm even mentioning this game is because the entire time I played it, I had a friend with me and I didn't beat it until 2023. It was an experience. It was nice to be able to play a Pokemon game again, but honestly, this game can go walk into the sea. Alrighty, got those out of the way, so let's move on to the actual main list. Number 11, Killzone Shadowfall. Oh man, Shadowfall. I ended up playing this one last when I decided to spend most of the first half of the year marathoning Killzone games, and I can't even begin to talk about how wacky it is. Shadowfall, much like its predecessor, is a first-person shooter, but it has a new system that allows you a few more tactics like hacking, zipline, putting down shields, and so on. It was released in 2013 as the launch title for the PS4, and is the swan song to the franchise as a whole. I did enjoy it for the most part, but there are so many odd design decisions in the campaign that really threw me off. The only reason it's not higher on my list is because they did my boy dirty. Oh, and I will be making a larger video on this game eventually. Number 10. Manhunt. How the heck is a game from 2003 on here? Well, because I needed to play it for a video series, and I've wanted to play Manhunt for a while now. And after 20 years, I finally did. It took me like 10 hours longer than it takes any normal gamer, but who cares? Without going into too much detail, Manhunt is a third-person stealth action game released by Rockstar on the PS2. It carried itself as being one of the most vicious and goriest games out there. It's still pretty raunchy, but honestly, when it wasn't being an infuriating, finicky mess, it was more hilarious than horrifying. I honestly would have put it higher, but I played a lot of games this year that I had way more fun with that weren't out of obligation. Number 9. Dead Space. People are going to be upset that this game is so far down on the list, but honestly, it's fine. So I'm a weird fan of Dead Space. I love the lore and the settings, but I never actually played the original game. So when the remake, released in 2023, came out, I finally picked it up after giving another survival horror game a go, and found myself mostly enjoying the experience. I had a few issues with the controls and the odd enemy placements, but the game did feel rewarding enough to see it through to the end. I honestly wish I had more to say, but it's Dead Space. It's a great game regardless of my foibles. My biggest hope is that we eventually get a remake of the second one as well. Number 8. The Callisto Protocol. And this is where everyone clicks away. Yes, I put Callisto Protocol higher than Dead Space. If you'd give me a moment, I can explain. I've never been a fan of horror games in general because most of the time the scares aren't well scary, or the controls are so obtuse that they end up being annoying. Yes, Callisto Protocol has little to no scares, and the controls can be frustrating at times, but I've found myself enjoying the overall combat way more than I did Dead Space. Callisto Protocol, released in 2022, is essentially the first Dead Space Lite. It's a space survival horror that has a lot of similar mechanics and system. But what it has over its predecessor is a more robust melee system in the form of a shock baton, as well as a few others. And oh man, the controller feedback on the PS5. That alone made this game an even more enjoyable experience. I will eventually be making a larger video on Callisto Protocol and Dead Space, so let me just move on to our next entry. Number 7. Deathloop. This is literally the last game I beat in 2023, and it did not disappoint. Deathloop, released by Arcane in 2021, is a supposed sequel to the Dishonored series. There's a lot of hints that it takes place in a parallel timeline or the same universe. The whole goal of the game is to kill several targets called visionaries so as to break free of the loop that is plaguing the island. And of course, the whole time you relive the loop, you learn more and more about each one, as well as the two playable characters, Colt and Juliana. Despite the bits of moon logic here and there, I adore this game. I really want to do a larger video on it, but honestly have no idea how to even do that. Since the game's story is literally told out of order and through the environment, it's so hard for me to even know where to begin. But hopefully one day I can do it justice. Number 6. Killzone 3. So I ended up playing every Killzone game between 2022 and 2023, so yes, of course I'm putting the third installment on this list. It's my favorite in the franchise, and I will die on that hill. But I don't even want to do a write-up on this game. I've already got a larger video for it in the works, but fine, I'll keep it brief. Killzone 3, released in 2011, is the last in the mainline Killzone franchise. It's the second half of the assault on Helgen and mainly focuses on taking down the rest of the Helgen elites, that being Admiral Orlok of the Helghast and an industrialist named Johann Stahl. Stahl is actually the proper villain, but like, our playable character only knows he exists like halfway through the game. I don't know, the story is weird, but like, yeah, I obviously love Stahl. He's plastered all over, well, everything I do. Speaking of that, why not watch my other videos about Killzone? I've got way more than any normal person should. Number 5. Sniper Elite 4 and Sniper Elite 5. Yes, I'm putting these two in the same entry. I get that they're very different games in their own right, but I played them back to back, so it only feels right to talk about both at the same time. Their respective launch years were 2017 for Sniper Elite 4 and 2022 for Sniper Elite 5. So the core difference between 4 and 5, other than story, is the game mechanics. 5 very much plays into the aspects of being a sim more than an action game of its predecessor. Despite this, I played the absolute heck out of both of them. I did the story, co-op, and even some online. I put more hours into 4 just because I really loved playing as Jack, but overall enjoyed 5 more. I've never honestly been able to come up with a concrete reason as to why, but there's something about Sniper Elite 5 that I just like more. It's obviously missing a lot of the key aspects of 4 that I loved, but the overall experience felt more satisfying. It might honestly have to do with the small changes on the controls that lined up with the PS5, but who knows. I want to eventually talk about the Sniper Elite series as a whole, so maybe by then I'll have a definitive answer. Number 4. Wolfenstein 2: New Colossus. The only reason New Order isn't on this list is because I played a massive chunk of it when it originally came out, and just managed to finally beat it in 2023. But that isn't going to stop me from putting New Colossus on here. I honestly like New Colossus more, so it worked out. New Colossus, released in 2017, is the last mainline entry in the current Wolfenstein series. It follows a few months after New Order, and is the same affair of get guns, fight Nazis. But what we weren't told is that the game jumps the shark about 5 different occasions, and is cranked up to 11 the entire time. Yes, it's a bit of a mess pacing-wise, but the new engine and new methods of gunplay make it a way more entertaining experience. And Fergus, we all love Fergus, especially Robo-Arm Fergus. Number 3. Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age. Yes, I did play the original on PS2 a long time ago. I got about 3/4 of the way in, then stopped because of reasons I won't go into. So why is this game on the list then? Well, Zodiac Age isn't actually a remaster of the original. It's a remaster of the international version of Final Fantasy XII that the US never had access to. And yeah, I did buy this game in 2018 when it came out. I even had the collector's tin and the hardback guide. Why it took me 5 years to sit down and actually play it, I have no idea. Back to the actual game. It had an overhauled battle system as well as the additional jobs and many other features. The story is essentially the same, but it's a whole other experience than what I had all those years ago. When I got around to actually playing it last year, I told myself that regardless of how long it took, I would finally beat it, and I did. The game was an amazing experience from start to finish. I won't go into too much more detail because we would be here all day listening to KT ramble on about how much they love Evilise and the whole convoluted plot of the game. Number 2. God of War Ragnarok. Of course Ragnarok was going to be number 2, because we all know what 1 is. Despite how much I trash on the fandom for this series in its original iterations, I cannot stress how much I love Ragnarok and what it's done for the God of War series as a whole. Despite it being released in 2022, I did spend most of the beginning of 2023 playing it. Heck, it's the main reason I bought my PS5. Despite us being told it would run fine on the PlayStation 4 Pro, it sadly did not. But you know what? I don't regret the purchase. This game is near perfect, and like its predecessor, will obviously be getting a larger video in the future. When? I had no idea. I almost died making the last one. I just had a lot of beef with my past self for attempting that horrendous endeavor in the first place. I'm getting off track. Should I talk about why I like this game so much? I feel it's kind of hard without going into spoilers. I like the spear, and Sindri, and Kratos? Yeah, this is all fun stuff. Oh, and Valhalla was really good. Please go play that if you haven't. And coming in at number 1, Starfield. Oh, people are gonna hate number 1, but oh well, this is my list, and the only ones I put into proper order in terms of enjoyment and overall good experience are numbers 1 through 5. Here's the deal, guys. I like this game, okay? It's obvious that it's Starfield. Yes, this game is like the worst rated game on Steam right now and probably other places, but to me, despite its flaws, it's a near perfect game. I've made a few videos so far, a quick review and an end-of-month vlog talking about my issues with the game, but honestly, I still enjoy playing it. My series, Into the Unknown, is going strong, and we've only got more to look forward to in the coming months with the planned story content as well as the Creation Club. The hate this game is honestly getting reminds me of what happened to Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 when they came out. Pointless and reductive. I admittedly jumped on the 76 train as well, but now that it's gotten its updates, I kind of want to play it. And when it came to Fallout 4, I loved that game from day one and still do. Starfield isn't a robust RPG like New Vegas, but honestly, I enjoy the action sandbox nature of it. The emptiness is therapeutic, the small bits of lore and character interactions are comfortable. I'm allowed to set my own pace as a gamer and not feel punished for it. I understand that I'm very much an outlier when it comes to this, and I will openly admit the game's flaws, but they don't bother me, so I'm just gonna keep running around random moons and getting the crap scared out of me by gas giants. And here we have it, KT's very quick and messy top list of all the games they played in 2023. I'm definitely going to be keeping better track of the ones from 2024. So hey, if you like this video and other kinds of contents, why not subscribe and follow me and all the social media stuff? And I also have a Patreon. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.